Monaco, except that at Monaco, which Ayrton Senna won by a whisker from Nigel Mansell, the race with the battle for the lead was over a much shorter distance than we're going to have the pleasure of watching now, because we're on lap 62. 20 laps to go, including the one they're on. We're with Berger now. We might even see Nigel Mansell coming up alongside, because this is where he attacks.
And twice we saw Gerhard Berger glance across, look in his mirrors. He was doing that clearly to check where Mansell is. Berger's ahead, there's no problem now. But Berger does not want to drive dirty. Berger wants to keep to his normal line. He only wants to have to come across and close the door on the inside and make it difficult for Mansell if Mansell's got a realistic chance of being able to outbrake him and get by. Now, all the time that Mansell is a certain distance behind, Berger can happily continue to take his outside line. So that's what Berger was doing. He was washing behind. But let's just briefly go back to that pit stop speed limit. It should be 50 miles an hour. And indeed, there shouldn't be any excuse to actually infringe that, because these cars are all equipped with an electronic device that limits the speed when the driver pushes a certain button to just 50 miles an hour to actually prevent this very thing. And occasionally you'll hear the cars misfiring coming out of the pit lane, and when they and there is Hakkinen coming in for his penalty.
Now let's look for Charlie Whiting. He'll be in a blue shirt and blue trousers, grey hair. He's the man that will operate the equipment, which tells, there he is, you see, in the dark glasses. And the mechanics are bringing up the starter mechanism just in case Mika Hakkinen stalls the McLaren. The seconds are ticking away. Out he goes, and as Hakkinen rejoins the track, he is still ahead of Brundle.
Buy any Pyroil performance product from Auto Stockist right now, and you can expect the best performance and protection, and the chance to win a unique car from Unique Cars magazine. Buy Pyroil and see Unique Cars magazine for full details.
A McDonald's Taste of the Orient. A seasoned beef patty with lettuce, mayonnaise, and a delicious teriyaki sauce. The Oriental Burger.
You know, I reckon we ought to come here more often.
This is really special. It's about as far away from civilization as you can get. Talking of civilization, some geo-make minor rock doctors, I call them, but they're dropping in some supplies for a project we're working on.
What kept you? Ready for a cool one?
This is not bad. I remember way back in the early army days, we used to have a saying, 2 cans per man, per day, per apps. Doesn't get any better than this.
You're looking sharp.
You've come so far, and we know how to make the most of who you are. Gillette, the best a man can get.
Gillette Sensor, the razor, the system. Only Sensor's independent blades adjust to your face for the closest, most comfortable shave you've ever had.
Gillette, the best a man can get.
Welcome back to the Grand Prix of Australia. Here, while we were in commercial, we had an incident involving Gerhard Berger, our race leader. He came into a corner a little bit too rapidly, and here we see slow motion. He got on the curb there, and he could not take the corner, so he wisely went straight down the escape road, letting Nigel Mansell, as you see him coming through there on the right-hand side, the blue and white car, and that, I'm afraid, could be this race, because Nigel Mansell now leads this race comfortably. Gerhard Berger still hounding him for second place, but that was a mistake that Berger will live on. Now back to Murray Walker.
And behind them, Rubens Barrichello after his 10-second stop, because, of course, the positions were affected there. Harnies is 6th in the Ligier. Frentzen is 7th in the Sauber. 8th is Mark Blundell in the Tyrrell, hoping to complete the race distance, and has not been lapped.
Now, just 0.6 of a second behind Mika Häkkinen at the moment is Rubens Barrichello. This is actually the closest battle of the race, although we've got Gerhard Berger really gamely trying to catch Nigel Mansell once again. And this is just the kind of situation that an old stager like Berger really relishes. When things are going well for him, it's a good day, the weather conditions are good, and he's going to be really having a charge. And there'll be nothing more motivating for him than seeing Nigel Mansell ahead. And there's the battle. That's Mika Häkkinen there. Mika Häkkinen, 0.6 of a second. It's not anymore. That's definitely closer ahead of Rubens Barrichello. But Barrichello has obviously got to try and get by Häkkinen. And Häkkinen himself has taken half a second off the 7-second gap up to Martin Brundle. So looking like a really good battle for third place in the final 15 laps of the Australian Grand Prix.
And hats off to Rubens Barrichello, the young Brazilian. I said earlier on, he's the youngest man in the race at 22 years old. This is only his 32nd Grand Prix, and he's driven absolutely superbly, 6th in the World Championship at the moment, and he's demonstrated that he has real class. Rumours in the middle of the season that McLaren were not only after him for next year, but had signed him for next year, although that is far from certain at the present time. But whatever, Rubens Barrichello in the Hart V10 powered McLaren, and the destiny of the Hart next year is unknown. He's closing up on Häkkinen.
And once again, there was a plume of dark black dust coming from the right-hand front wheel of the McLaren as Häkkinen braked. No locking wheels this time, but it just shows you how hard the brakes have to work. They actually have a surface temperature of 1,000 degrees when they're braking hard, and this straight at the end of Adelaide, braking down to that hairpin, is probably one of the hardest braking points of any circuit in the world.
And they've already been driving for an hour and a half with 15 laps still to go. At 10/10 for most of them, they haven't had a second's relaxation in this race, which is turning out to be an absolutely brilliant climax to the 1994 year. It's a great pity that the championship battle between Schumacher and Hill couldn't have continued and been resolved on the track instead of in the wall. But nevertheless, a great battle for the leadership now on lap 67 as Häkkinen comes up behind Delatraz again, and the Swiss driver moves over. He's now, believe it or not, 10 laps behind. That gives an indication. On lap 67, lap 68, he's 10 laps behind the leaders.
Well, Berger's certainly hanging on in there. He's not losing much, if anything, to Nigel Mansell. We've got another 14 laps to go here, and whilst we watch Mansell really trying, a bit of a slide there from Mansell with the Williams, they've done some 67 laps. This really is a demanding circuit, and the accuracy that the drivers have to continuously maintain lap after lap is quite remarkable. Just look at the edge of the tyres of these two experts against the curves. Now, in straight lining the corners, that's taking the racing line, they will be using, if they're right on it, every single inch of the circuit, and trying to judge a gap of just 2 to 3 inches away from these apex curves. And that's a car spun there. Not sure who it was. It might have been a Tyrrell of Blundell. And that's Blundell, it is indeed, and it looks actually damaged to me as well. So it looks like Blundell is actually out of the race. We may be able to see more of that later. But again, look at the precision of the way these drivers place the wheels of their cars at up to 190 miles an hour. And they're doing that lap after lap after lap.
It's impossible to comprehend what it's like if you haven't actually done it yourself, and there's very few people in the world who have. But when you think that they're taking 4 G forces on their bodies round some of the corners here, which means that their body weight is 4 times normal due to the sideways pressure as they go round corners, and there's that massive heat in the cockpit, there's the roaring 800 horsepower engine behind them, there's the most incredible acceleration forces and deceleration braking forces non-stop all the way around the circuit as they're up and down through the gears, on and off the brakes, on and off the power. Lap 69, down the straight, Mansell still leading, Berger still second, Brundle still third, McLaren, Häkkinen still fourth, McLaren, Barrichello fifth, Jordan, Parney sixth, Ligier, Frentzen seventh, Sauber, and Alesi eighth. A lap adrift in the second Ferrari.
And more traffic once again. That is, I think, the Sauber of Frentzen that's ahead of Mansell there. The Sauber team not having gone particularly well this weekend. They have made the announcement that they're going to be running the Ford engine, the Z-Tech engine that Benetton have used this year. But the last time we had some traffic, it was Berger that lost out. Berger got unsighted by Alboreto, got distracted, hooked the curb, Now let's just hope for Mansell's sake it's not going to happen to him, and let's just hope too that Frentzen is going to let these two battling drivers through and continue on with their own race, because Frentzen is back in 7th place and he's some way 8.9 seconds behind Olivier Panis, who is in 6th.
One of the finds of the season, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, signed by the Sauber team after driving in Japanese Formula 3000 races, and before that he was a Mercedes-Benz sports car driver. He's driven extremely well in his first Grand Prix season, but he wants to get out of the way of Nigel Mansell, or Berger is going to be right up behind him. And Berger can see, of course, just as Nigel Mansell can, that he's got a golden opportunity, and you can see the power of that Ilmor-built Mercedes-Benz engine as Heinz-Harald Frentzen puts his foot down. And through goes Nigel Mansell, and to lap Heinz-Harald Frentzen again. Gerhard Berger does not get through, so that's an advantage for Nigel, because now between the two cars is the Sauber of Heinz-Harald.
Here's something altogether different in the credit card. No annual fees, low interest, and up to 55 days interest-free credit, all on one card. Adelaide Bank Visa. Now, what would you like to do with your existing cards? Adelaide Bank Visa. Your sort of credit card. From your sort of bank.
Just wait till you drive it.
A McDonald's Taste of the Orient. 6 chicken McNuggets served with a tasty new satay sauce.
You're looking sharp. You've come so far. And we know how to make the most of who you are. Gillette, the best a man can get.
Gillette Sensor, the razor, the system. Only sensors-independent blades adjust to your face for the closest, most comfortable shave you've ever had.
The best a man can get.
In third position, Brundle, and as Jonathan has just told you, it's a close run thing between Martin Brundle and his teammate Mika Häkkinen for third position.
And it's getting closer all the way, because Häkkinen's now within 3 seconds of Brundle. But it's interesting here with the two Ferrari drivers, because Alesi, of course, made a later pit stop. It was a long pit stop, but he will have fresher tyres on. They'll both be having the same amounts of fuel because they're running to the end of the race now. So in theory, with his fresher tyres, Alesi could be able to run quicker than Berger. But I suspect that Alesi, knowing he's back in 8th place with little chance of doing a lot about it, may well be happy to let Berger continue without obstruction and to help him in his chase of Nigel Mansell ahead. Now, 4.5 seconds behind there. There are only 9 laps to run, and that's looking like a tall order for Gerhard Berger to try and pull back. And a lot of this gap has been precipitated by following Frentzen for just too long, when Frentzen would not let him by.
120,000 Australians and other nationalities are here to see this race, on top of the 210,000 who have already been here for the previous day.
Mika Häkkinen closing up visibly now on Martin Brundle ahead, and again the level of determination demonstrated by Häkkinen was shown with those plumes of black smoke coming out of the right-hand front wheel under braking for the hairpin. Have a look if you can next time around if we're on it, but it really is absolutely fascinating watching that go on.
Meantime, it really really does look as though Nigel Mansell, having scored 32 pole positions with the one that he scored here on Friday, is going to have his 31st Grand Prix win, but there is still a way to go, and with a disconsolate Damon Hill is Barry Sheene.
Damon, as far as we were concerned, it looked like he had it really under control.
Well, I pushed him very hard all the way. It was a terrific race, and all I can say is that it's over now, and it's a bit of an empty feeling, but I think I gave him a good run for his money, and he certainly was feeling the pressure because he ended up falling off the road.
Well, that's it. You couldn't really do any more than that, could you?
No, and I saw the opportunity. I thought, I've got to go here, but it didn't happen.
So, in other words, you'd say that's sport, that's racing?
I'm afraid so. That's much racing. I'm afraid that going into the last race with 1 point deficit for Michael is always going to be, unfortunately, putting you in the position where you've got everything to lose. Well, I couldn't win in that sort of situation, and I think I would want to say that everyone in the Williams team deserves some sort of medal this year, because we've been through a hell of a tough time, and to be here at least in the last race fighting to win the championship and looking very strong, looking competitive. The Renault engine was strong and the whole team were terrific, and I'd just like to say thanks to all of them this year, and we'll come back next year.
Great, thanks a lot.
And understandably gutted Damon Hill, very generously conceding defeat, but at the same time not uttering a word of criticism about Michael Schumacher. And a lot of people will be doing just that after this race. We're on lap 75 now, and you can see the gap between Nigel Mansell, red 2, leading Gerhard Berger, number 28. There he is in the Ferrari, still with his teammate Jean Alesi, a lap behind him. Alesi in 7th position. And Nigel Mansell is calmly at the present moment maintaining the gap at 2.9, just under 3 seconds, with 7 laps to go, including the one they're on. This is going to be an epoch-making and historic Australian Grand Prix if they finish the way they are now. And John Alesi is having a look inside Gerhard Berger, but I think not with the intention of moving past his teammate, because Alesi knows that the last thing on earth that Gerhard Berger wants is a Ferrari between himself, his Ferrari, and the Williams Renault of Nigel Mansell. So Alesi is riding shotgun. Going through now to complete lap 75, into another 6 laps to go. Berger second, Brundle third, Hakkinen fourth. There's only 2.5 seconds between the two McLarens. 5th is Barrichello, 6th is Parnis, 7th is Alesi, and 8th is Frentzen.
Yes, casting back there to that remarkably composed Damon Hill. I'm sure that he's in for many, many nights of mulling over whether or not he should have lunged for that gap up the inside of Michael Schumacher on not this corner. This was where Schumacher went off. That's where he hit the wall on the right. Damon had a lunge for the inside on the apex there. Schumacher closed the door, and it has to be said, if Damon hadn't gone for that gap, then he probably would have been he would have been world champion, because I suspect that Schumacher had damaged his car, but Damon was not necessarily to know that, and that presented itself with an ideal opportunity to capitalise on Schumacher's mistake and go for the inside. And although perhaps in the circumstances he might have known that Schumacher would be that desperate that he closed the door, even in a virtually impossible situation.
All this, of course, will heighten the controversy about who is going to drive for Williams in 1995, with 3 contenders for 2 seats. Damon Hill, second in the World Championship of 1994. Nigel Mansell, the World Champion of 1992, who looks as though he's about to have his 31st Grand Prix victory, and newcomer David Coulthard, who this year has proved to be very quick indeed. But now Nigel is on lap 77, lap 77, 78, 79, 80 and 81. 5 laps to go between Nigel Mansell on his return to Grand Prix racing. This is his 4th race in the year. Really, his return to Grand Prix racing in France can hardly count, because well as he went to be second on the grid to Damon Hill. That was the 7th race of the season in July, and he was really just punctuating his second season of Indy racing. Came back to a very strange beast, the Williams-Renault Formula One car, in comparison with his Lola Ford Indy car, and he didn't come back really until the European Grand Prix at Jerez. And at that time, Nigel said to me, I hope that nobody is going to judge me on my return to Formula One by what I do at Jerez, because it's a very different animal even from the one I drove in France. For instance, it had the 10mm skid block, the wooden plank, in quotes, underneath the car, which changes the ride height and reduces downforce. Nigel had to learn that car all over again. He drove brilliantly in Japan, and now look how well he's going in the last Grand Prix of the year. And you'll notice I'm not saying anything positive, because I've said that too often in the past and had something go wrong. But we're now on lap 78. Nigel Mansell is leading Gerhard Berger, who's actually gone half a second faster in the previous lap, but it really does look as though Nigel... And that's off goes the McLaren! And that is Mika Häkkinen. So he slid right out of the race. You can see the top of the chassis is off, exposing the master cylinders for the suspension. And that was just a straight slide off, it seemed to me. And that means, of course, now with Brundle in 3rd position, up to 4th position will go Rubens Barrichello. To 5th will go Parnis. To 6th and lapped will go Jean Alesi. It does look as though the 2 Ferraris are going to be in the top 6. There's a replay. That's what's happened. He lost it on the right, spun into the wall on the left, and hopefully, although it was a very, very heavy impact, it's a replay, and it's on the approach to Brewery Bend, stag turn.
Yes, this is where, coming down now, down the main Brabham Straight into the hairpin. This is where you were seeing that dust come out of his right-hand wheel. He brakes hard, loses control, the car spins, the left-hand side gets damaged very seriously. I have to say that is not a mistake by Mika Häkkinen, I don't think, fundamentally, although because the real problem, I'm sure, was a brake problem with that McLaren car. The only thing one might have said that is he could have anticipated. Here we go, the car, he brakes, the rear locks up, the car spins around, bounces over the curbs, bang, into the Armco. The very, very strong carbon fibre central survival cell tubs doing its job with the seat belts there. A great shame for Mika Häkkinen, because he really was driving extraordinarily well. He retired from last year's race with brake problems, and he looks like he's done so with the consequences of brake problems here. And Häkkinen, a driver who certainly uses them very hard, but then it's up to the team to really make sure the brakes can do the job.
Nigel Mansell coming up behind Olivier Parnis, 5th position in the Ligier Renault. They've got the same type of engine. He goes through Gerhard Berger. Does Gerhard Berger get through ahead of the Frenchman, who is in 5th position? The answer is no. That's a help to Nigel Mansell. Parnis will be pressing as hard as he can, and with Häkkinen out of the race, as lap 79 is about to be completed, with Nigel Mansell starting the penultimate lap of the 1994 Australian Grand Prix, ahead of Gerhard Berger by the distance that you can see. It's Berger, Mansell, Brundle, Barrichello, Parnis, Alesi.
And that's just the kind of brake Mansell wanted. Parnis there, I think Mansell's looking pretty safe in a race that's been quite extraordinary. An early great start from Schumacher saw him lead a very hard-charging Damon Hill, but a mistake, ultimately one of the very few he's made. In fact, the only mistake he's made in a race all year from a driving point of view, putting Schumacher effectively out of the race, must have damaged his car, and then Schumacher ruthlessly closed the door. But at the end of the day, Schumacher's world champion. I do believe he's the very best driver out there, it has to be said, but it would have been much better to have ended the season on that, with that result, in a more favourable circumstance. With Damon Hill really proving once again that he really does have the ability to perform when it really counts. He did so in Japan, and he's done so again here. Maybe he shouldn't have lunged to the inside at that point, recognising that Schumacher should have had a limping car, but really, who knows? The door was there, and it may have been the only opportunity. But what a great win for Nigel Mansell. This is likely to be the Briton coming back with his 3 autumn races, really proving throughout the weekend that he's got a tremendous amount of pace. And Gerhard Berger also proving that there is little substitute for experience and maturity with pace combined. And Lacey pushing him hard there. And McLaren having a good result, great result, third place, a win for Senna last year, and hopefully a third for Martin Brundle at the end of 1994.
Thank heavens you said likely to be, Jonathan, because many a Grand Prix has been lost on the last lap, on which Nigel Mansell is now looking good for his 31st Grand Prix victory. Having won for Williams, having won for Ferrari, having come back to Grand Prix racing to drive in 4 of the 16 World Championship races this year, and it looks as though he's going to finish the last one in a victorious position, because he's well down the lap now, turning in and down the long straight. Less than half a lap to go now between this, the checkered flag, and his 31st win. I rode away from the circuit with him yesterday after he had confirmed pole position in the wet conditions. He took it in the dry on Friday, and he said to me laughingly, I bet that made a few people think, didn't it, who said I was too old? Well, it certainly did. This will make them think even more, because Nigel Mansell is almost home and dry to win the 1994 Australian Grand Prix, and Nigel Mansell wins in Australia. Fantastic! Gerhard Berger second in the Ferrari, and Nigel, there it is, the master is back. And what is this going to mean for 1995? Well, Gerhard Berger finishes second in Australia. Martin Brundle has yet to come home. He's on his last lap. There are only going to be 4 finishers of the full 81-lap race distance, and that is Martin Brundle, who's had a 2nd place this year. He's had a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, and now he's almost completed because he's 3rd. The only position he hasn't finished in the top 6 is 1st. And McLaren and Peugeot can be very happy with the termination of their partnership, because theirs is one of the many chassis engine combinations that finish here in Australia today. Victory for Mansell, just 2.5 seconds ahead of Gerhard Berger. Williams-Renault wins, Ferrari second, and the Maranello concern will not be at all unhappy about that. The McLaren concern with Martin Brundle take 3rd position. Rubens Barrichello is 4th and the last man to go the full distance. As Nigel says, there we are, folks. I knew I could do it. A lot of you thought I could do it, and I have proved it. And the great showman of Formula One, the man to whom something always seems to be happening, that's the Isle of Man police that you can see on his left sleeve, because Nigel was a special constable in the Isle of Man, to which he has now returned to live, and he's now on his run-down lap, a wonderful winner in Australia.
Yes, Nigel seems to have done extremely well after the odd mistake at the Australian Grand Prix weekend. He managed to take pole position after spinning, albeit because he found the track obstructed in qualifying, but another great recovery from that. And in the race here today, he had that first lap off that was quite dramatic, but Mansell, with characteristic dogged determination, proving again that he is fit enough, he is up to the task, and he really does have a combination of pace, maturity, and sheer determination that is still virtually unrivaled in Formula One.
Maybe he will be saying to Frank Williams this evening, now then, can we discuss 1995? We don't know, of course, that there isn't already Nigel Mansell's name on a Williams contract for 1995, with contention about whether Damon Hill is, in fact, going to drive for the team next year, because he's a pretty unsatisfied chap at the moment, or at least he was when I was talking to him a couple of days ago about this very subject. But now Nigel turns into the garage. His car will go into the Parc Fermé for technical check, and knowing the Williams team, who are perfectly good at making sure that their car is legal, there will not be any problem there. And it's a good spread. You saw there the situation with Damon Hill just missing out by that 1 World Championship point after a very, very gritty season which brought him 6 wins. Nigel Mansell on the left, Gerhard Berger on the right.
The 1994 Australian Formula One Grand Prix, proudly brought to you by Carlton United Breweries, Nissan 200 SX, Valvoline, McDonald's Family Restaurants, Holden Calibra, Adelaide Bank, Gillette, and Peter Lehman Wines.
Tonight, police remain on alert at a South Coast Aboriginal community. Alexander Downer fights for his leadership, and the 50-year-old mother of triplets.
Back in the early days, one of the problems they had was how to stop their food going rotten. Well, necessity being the mother of invention, and Australians being a pretty inventive lot, they came up with this bright idea. The trick is to keep the sides of the thing wet. Airflow causes evaporation, and that means heat exchange. And when it comes to the really important things, you can't beat a car fridge. Doesn't get any better than this.
It's party time, all the time, in the sunshine, indie time.
Live it up with Andretti, Unsa, Fittipaldi, Villeneuve and everything that the Gold Coast offers off the track at the 1995 Indy Carnival.
Indie time, yeah, it's indie time. There's only
Indy Carnival 95. Don't miss a second of it. For bookings, call the Queensland Government Travel Centre on 1-800-808-405.
A top executive, Mr. Russell Arden, has mysteriously disappeared, and his digital mobile phone calls are the only clue to his whereabouts.
Russell packed his new digital mobile phone, went to lunch and never returned.
He leaves fellow executives with unanswered questions.
He calls regularly, but from where, we don't know.
Arden can call from more places in Australia because Telecom MobileNet has more base stations than either of the two competing digital networks. He could also be in one of the 22 countries linked to MobileNet.
He spoke to me on Tuesday as clearly as if he was standing right beside me, but I could hear the surf in the background, and I suspect it's a noosa.
This report cannot be confirmed as all MobileNet digital calls are scrambled to prevent eavesdropping.
Well, he's not in the office, but he's still working. Yesterday he closed a large deal in Hong Kong, but where do we send his paycheck?
Russell Arden, you're out there somewhere on the Telecom MobileNet digital network, but where are you? Renee Brack reporting for Digital Reality.
A journey through time.
Do you think he's dead?
Through courage and danger.
What the heck happened in the last 50 years?
To another chance. Mel Gibson and Jamie Lee Curtis. Toyota presents the premiere of Forever Young tonight on Channel 9.
Welcome back to Adelaide. Gerhard Berger there with Nigel Mansell, two great old mates. And Martin Brundle there from McLaren, who got third spot here in the Adelaide GP. But Nigel very, very happy with what's happened here. I guess he'd be very, very disappointed, though, for Damon Hill. But for the moment, this is his moment. It was a terrific race. He had an ordinary start, but made his way through the back. And there's the traditional limp, and he comes out, and boy, does this fellow know how to work up a crowd. He plays to them tremendously well, and they do like him. Off goes a glove into the crowd, and there's just thousands and thousands down there on pit straight waiting for the formalities. But he's been around, he's done it all. He's been a world champion, both at IndyCar and in Formula One, and he's come back 39 years of age, and he's won the Adelaide Grand Prix. He tried to do it in '86, the World Championship, with that famous blown tyre was his nemesis. Today, he's had disappointment and success, and I'm talking about bitter disappointment for the Williams team, but at the same time success for Frank Williams by winning the GP but losing the World Championship by that mere point. Look at that crowd, terrific crowd. They've stayed around. There's plenty more for them to see and enjoy and savour as they throng down pit straight. And there is Nigel Gerhard Berger and Martin Brundle. Nigel Mansell, champion here at the Adelaide Grand Prix, and a terrific heady race by him in the end. It was a good old battle between him and the old protagonist Gerhard Berger, but finally he had his way and came away with the trophy. The 10th Adelaide Grand Prix, so that's something to remember for Nigel. The oldest driver in the race, man with a wealth of experience, really does love coming here to Adelaide, has got family living here, so it's a place he knows well. Likes the golf courses, likes the people, and in return, they like him too. And that's the same way with Gerhard Berger, also a very, very popular figure here in Adelaide. But we have seen a race of mixed fortunes, a race that was probably bittersweet when you think about what happened around about lap 32 with Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher. On this day, Nigel just likes everybody. He's been very, very relaxed ever since coming to Adelaide. He's enjoyed the crowds and been very, very good with the media. Gerhard Berger, always cooperative and, as I said, a popular figure here, and is well followed by the many Ferrari fans. A real pro, and like Nigel, been around for a long, long time. Sometimes you think that Nigel is the host for this Grand Prix, the way he seems to stage manage everything that's going on. But he knows how to give his sponsors the very, very best value. And we're just about to see the traditional champagne spray. And nobody is safe, particularly officials wearing ties and jackets. But in this case, it's just the three drivers, but Nigel getting more mo in his entire career. Wonderful crowd, just a sellout here today. It's been just one of the most successful GPs that Adelaide has ever staged, and so fitting on the 10th anniversary to see so many people turn up for the championship decided between Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher. Schumacher making it by just that 1 point. And it was interesting to see when it became very obvious that Schumacher had won, that the Benetton team, the mechanics, they gave a finger salute to the Williams mechanics. So there's a fair bit of aggro going on between those two. Right now, here is Martin Whittaker.
Nothing to mine, yeah.
Well, Nigel Mansell, welcome back. Congratulations on your first Grand Prix victory for a little over 2 years on your return to Formula One. But today, perhaps more than anybody, after your experiences here 8 years ago with that famous tyre blowout, you will know exactly how Damon Hill must be feeling today.
Yeah, but, you know, I've got to say, first of all, what a fantastic job he's done. I mean, he brought the championship alive. He won those races, which he had to, and I don't know the outcome of it. Obviously, he's lost the championship, but I tell you what, I'm for one, very proud, and the whole country should be. He's done fabulous.
Well, you certainly proved a point yourself this afternoon, and with this victory, you surely indicated your desire to be back in Formula One full-time. How were the experiences today, and also perhaps a thought for the future?
Well, I mean, I think Gerhard summed it up on the podium, but I can't repeat what he said.
I just said we are all three, the first three together, 120 years.
He called me an old bastard.
Natural
as well,
50,
yeah.
natural 50, but me 25.
Well, getting back to the race for a second. The Constructors' Championship also clinched today with your victory.
Yeah.
Must be a great fillip for the team after a very, very difficult year.
Yeah, very difficult year indeed, and obviously very disappointing for the team, for Damon especially, but when there's a loser, there's a winner, and I have to say congratulations to Michael. He's done a fantastic job all year. Many congratulations, Michael.
Thanks.
Can we go now?
Oh, turning to you, Michael. World champion. The first German world champion in the championship's 45-year history. But I'm sure that there are a lot of people, including yourself, who would not have wished to have seen the championship decided in this way.
Certainly, I mean, it was a very great battle between me and Damon in the stage of the race. Tough race, I have to say, and he has done really a good job during that race. We both haven't done mistakes, and it was really, really, I would say, thrilling for you at the outside. I have to say that I did make some comments this year that about Damon, that I didn't have that kind of respect that I maybe had about somebody else. But I have to admit that I was wrong, because what he has done in the last two races in particular, and he must have done even before, has been a proper and fantastic job. And he has been a great rival, and I must say sorry for what I maybe said, but I'd like to congratulate him for all his good jobs he has done so far. But nevertheless, the feeling about the championship, winning the championship, which I nearly won earlier this year, and then got banned for a couple of races and couldn't continue, lost a lot of points, where I thought now it's going to be very, very tough and difficult to make this championship up again. And just now sitting here and won it, it's a dream. The emotions in me, I mean, Nigel can talk about this as well. You can't really bring it outside. I mean, I just have them here and you can't express them. Or
it will get better.
It will get better. It's great. I must really as well say that our team has this year done a really, really good job. With the package we had available, we really squeezed down 100%. There was nothing left. As you saw, it got more and more difficult towards the end of the season, but they have done a really, really good job, and I'd like to thank to these peoples. But I have something special to say about this whole season. The season has been started quite well, I would say, in Brazil. Even Aida, it was a good race, and then we came up to Imola. And what happened there is just when I talked about nightmare in the before, then I have to say it's in the other direction, and all of us know what kind of feelings we had to make about this in particular for Ayrton, but as well for Roland, and as well for Carl, what happened in Monte Carlo. For me, it was always clear that I'm not going to win the championship, and it's Ayrton who is going to win the championship, but he hasn't been there for the last races, and I'd like to take this championship and give it to him, because he is the driver who should have earned it. He had the best car, he was the best driver, and that's my feelings about him. It was difficult at the time to show my feelings, because I'm not somebody who likes to show the feelings to the outside, but I always thought about it, and it's the right time now to give something which I achieved, which he should have achieved, to give it to him. Thank you.
Well, Gerhard, race of excitement, drama.
First, I want to say congratulations to Michael. Well done. Very good. I have to say, Michael did a brilliant job all the year. Not many mistakes. And I think you really deserve it. I'm sorry about Damon. I think Damon, as Michael says, showed, especially the last two races, that he also is able to do a great job. He also is able to win the championship. And it's always like this. One has to win it and one lose it, but he's gonna have still time to win it, and he's gonna do it. The race today was very hard for myself, because I had to start in 11th position, and I was stuck in traffic in the beginning. It was very, very difficult, but suddenly I find myself under good conditions behind Nigel. We had a good fight. Unfortunately, I did a mistake. I touched the curb and then went off. I was very, very lucky. And then I was very upset with Frentzen because he didn't look into the mirror. I spent 2 laps behind him. And
pay him some money.
I think so. I was very surprised that he's not able to look into the mirrors. He's very disappointed in this, in a fighting situation like we was, but happened. And then I not really had any chance anymore to fight Nigel. But I'm happy like this. It's because before the race I didn't think that I'm going to be second. And he did a great job. I think cannot be possible, 50 years to be still pushing like this. But he didn't do any mistake and he was really great driving. Congratulations. Thanks.
Nicely said by those 3 drivers there, and Michael Schumacher particularly emotional, as you would imagine. There's the crowd down pit straight. They just don't want to leave, and why should they? They've had a wonderful 3 days here. Record crowd today of 120,000 people. Quite fantastic. Really, Adelaide has put on a wonderful, wonderful show. They have 1 more year to go, and there's going to be a lot of people to see the GP. Sorry to see the GP move from this terrific venue. We will be back in Adelaide in just a few more moments.
On 60 Minutes, an exclusive report. The most hated woman in the world.
They demanded my execution by hanging.
Sentenced to death.
A special squad to kill me.
For saying women are equal.
Are killing women by the name of God.
Also, the Rolling Stones. At 50, owning up to all that sex.
Some of that's still in there.
Drugs.
Occupational hazards.
And their ageless rock and roll. Toy to present 60 Minutes tonight.
What sort of bank has invented the cleverest home and investment loan?
Adelaide Bank, where you start off at this low rate, and then it can save you money. Year after year after year after year after year after year.
By the way, at Adelaide Bank, we've called this genius loan Albert. Because it can save you money year
after year
after year after year.
Albert.
After year after
Starts at this low rate and can save you money year
after year.
Southern comfort, the heart, the soul, the spirit.
From the people who brought us the bullet train, a car that goes like a bullet, the Mitsubishi 3000 GT.
How to earn more ANZIT frequent flyer points without leaving the ground. Simply use your Diners Club card. When you pay for a restaurant, when you're out shopping, for car hire or your trip, all your accommodation bills, and even when you buy an airline ticket. Because with Diners Club, you earn valuable ANZIT frequent flyer points every time you use it.
This new meal deal's a go, Biff. A huge family-sized pizza, garlic bread, bottle of soft drink, and our new apple crumble, and all for only $16.90. You should do an ad for that. We are.
You're looking sharp. You've come so far.
Gillette Sensor, the razor, the system. Only sensors-independent blades adjust to your face for the closest, most comfortable shave you've ever had.
Back in Adelaide, and Murray Walker joins me. What a race. It was an absolute thriller, and then all of a sudden, it sort of nosedived for a while, and then we had, of course, the confrontation between Berger and Mansell in the end. But I guess a lot of people are going to dissect that crash so many times, and I don't think it becomes any clearer of just who's absolutely at fault. But I guess everyone's going to have an opinion.
Well, it's always terribly easy, Ken, to sit outside the car and pontificate and criticise about what's happening inside the car when you've never actually done it yourself, and you've certainly never actually done it at about 100 miles an hour. It looked to me, and it looks, I think, to a lot of people, as though Schumacher moved over on Hill when he shouldn't have done. But let's have a look. Here we're riding with Schumacher's car now. He goes in, you see, he loses it, goes up onto the grass, so he's history there, bounces off the concrete curb, tries to turn back again and turn into the corner. Meantime, Hill is coming up behind him. Now, there are people who will say Schumacher should have been looking in his mirrors. On the other hand, he must have been rather occupied about where he was going forwards, never mind about who was coming up behind him. I think one honestly has to say that it was a racing accident, but if there was blame, marginally it was with Schumacher. Certainly not with Damon Hill, because he had slowed right down. He was trying to go through. You could see Schumacher coming off the wall here. Damon sees the Benetton in front of him, slows down. Schumacher starts to accelerate away, turn in. By now, Damon is absolutely committed. His left wheel hits the side pod of Schumacher's car. Schumacher's wheel rides up over Damon's front wheel. And that's it, the end of the championship.
A school of thought might go along the lines, Murray, by saying, Damon seeing that Michael was wounded from that first encounter with the wall, would he have not, I mean, hindsight is a wonderful thing, stand back and sort of say, I'll just see how wounded he is, because obviously he's going to have something wrong after that sort of an impact.
We all know what should happen and what the other bloke should have done. The fact is that neither you nor I were in the cockpit, and you could, television is an incredible thing because it enables us all to sit in the cockpit, be with the drivers, look at the car that's coming towards you.
And slows it down too.
That's right. That's right. But you're not actually there, and they're thinking at split seconds, all of them.
Murray, when you look back at the year, you've got to say that with the suspensions that Michael had. And the way he does drive, in real terms, you've got to say, well, he was the best driver of the year. Not necessarily the best driver always wins, of course, but in this case, he was the best driver all year.
Yes, he was, Ken. Absolutely no doubt about that, and he richly deserved the championship. The real sadness of the season is going to be, in my opinion, that no matter who had won the championship, Schumacher or Hill, neither of them were going to get satisfaction that previous champions like Mansell, Hill and Senna would have got because of all the contention that there's been. I mean, there are still going to be people who say, well, Schumacher should have won because the Benetton team weren't legal for the first 8 races, were they? There are still going to be people who say Hill, if he had won, should have won because Schumacher lost 36 points from 4 races. So it's been an inconclusive season. It hasn't been decided over 16 races.
Or Schumacher won because Ayrton Senna was not there.
Exactly.
I mean, so,
well, Schumacher himself has said very generously, if Ayrton Senna had been here, none of us would have seen which way he went.
Damon Hill, coming into this GP, voiced dissatisfaction at the way things were happening for him at Williams. Will he be with Williams next year in light of the criticism that he's levelled at Frank? Is there any ill feeling in the camp towards Damon?
I don't know whether he's going to be there next year. I mean, Nigel Mansell wasn't exactly flavour of the month when he parted company with Williams in 1992. These things happen. It's a supercharged atmosphere. They're very ambitious, egotistical men. They're earning a gigantic amount of money. The stakes are high. I would think that'll settle down, but I wouldn't like at this point to say whether the Williams team is going to be Mansell and Hill, or Mansell and Coulthard, or Hill and Coulthard. Frank Williams has got a very strong position and 3 very able and determined contenders for the 2 seats next year.
Well, let's take a look at McLaren. We know what happened with we watched the Ferrari today of Berger, but McLaren have been threatening maybe to come back to that dominant position they once held 2 or 3 years back. And they, I believe, to be courting Coulthard. and maybe a couple of other top drivers.
Yes, there is, as ever at this time of the season, a heck of a lot going on behind closed doors that we don't really know about. We can start rumours. I mean, I could start a rumour that Heinz-Harald Frentzen is going to be driving for McLaren next year, and he might be. You never know. You never know. But McLaren seem to be coming back now. I mean, they had all those years with McLaren, with Honda, dominant engine, and then thanks to Senna's wizardry, they won with the Ford engine, where a lot of people wouldn't have expected them to. This year, they've had their third engine in 3 successive seasons with Peugeot. Next year, they're going to Mercedes, so it's their 4th engine in 4 seasons, but that will be a tremendously strong combination with all the clout of Stuttgart and the money, engineering expertise behind McLaren, and whoever gets those McLaren seats. And I think it could well be Häkkinen and Brundle. The youth of Häkkinen and the experience of Brundle, who's a very good racer, as he showed today, will be in a very strong position.
All right, Murray, well, thank you very much for having a look at that and the summations and not spreading any rumours. We will be back. We've got plenty more to come from Adelaide right after this break.
Banjo Patterson's The Man from Snowy River. 6:30 tonight, the legend lives on.
One of the most colourful, turbulent times of Australian history.
The photography is just spectacular.
It looks fantastic. It's a real family entertainment kind of show.
With Villa's Guy Pearce, Andrew Clark, Wendy Hughes, Brett Climo, and John Stanton.
Keep that gun ready.
Experience the exciting bush drama and enchanting romance of Banjo Patterson's The Man from Snowy River. 6:30 tonight on 9.
I reckon this might be that creek that bloke went up one time without a paddle. Last time I was here, I lost my best fishing lure. I wasn't going in to get it. Too many crocodiles. Near here for the same reason I am. We're both a bit partial to barramundi. Here we go. Hope I can get him in before the competition arrives. Not bad, eh? I'll tell you something. Doesn't get any better than this.
To life some of the greatest and most famous machines ever with Tamiya. Enjoy the relaxation of building your own scale mod Grand Prix bike or a famous touring car. You can make a real thoroughbred Formula One car or blast off with an F-15 Strike Eagle. And for the ultimate in precision model building, the magnificent Mighty Mo. And to make your model a real masterpiece, use Tamiya paints, tools and maintenance materials. Tamiya, first in quality around the world.
Pump 7, thanks.
Don't worry, Dick, I'll get this lot.
Harry, I've got a couple of extras I'd like to get,
Don't worry,
thanks.
I'll get them and all, don't worry.
Harry?
I insist it, really.
Are you okay?
Absolutely.
You'll be taking off in no time at this rate, Mr. Sheen.
Taking off?
Oh, Barry, you're unbelievable.
Flybys. At any Shell outlet where you see the Flybys sign.
Been a long way from home, have we?
Yeah.
So, what are you driving?
I drive Kuma.
Whatever you drive quality. Drive Kumo tyres.
Back at Adelaide, let's now review the action from the very start of that race. Our vantage point is a camera mounted in the car of Christian Fittipaldi near the rear of the grid. Christian Fittipaldi in the Arrows taking us for a ride around the Adelaide circuit. And a man who's going to take us a ride right around the world. Here is Ian Maurice for a sports update.
Good, Ken, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Let's have a look at Sheffield Shield cricket first up. Victoria is resisting the Queensland push for an outright win at the Gabba. The Vics in their second innings are 5 for 243. That's an overall lead of 237 runs. Brad Hodge has top scored there with 116. Meantime, in Perth, South Australia struck trouble as it chases first innings points against Western Australia. In reply to the home team's 254, the South Aussies are 6 for 129 at lunch. Greg Blewett, the only batsman to show any form, not out on 57. And on day 2 of the Ashes Tour match in Newcastle, New South Wales skipper Mark Taylor has hammered an unbeaten century. The Blues are 2 for 255 in reply to England's first innings of 328.
Resuming on 9 for 318, the English first innings was quickly finished by Brad McNamara. The Blues test combination of Taylor and Slater then set about the chase, Taylor in particular finding touch. However, there were some anxious moments, much to the displeasure of Phil de Freitas. De Freitas did get some of his own back, drawing the edge from Slater. It was little joy, though, for the tourists, as Taylor continued to plunder the attack on the way to his century, an ominous sign with the opening test of the Ashes series in less than a fortnight.
Now to golf, and New South Welshman Rob Willis is holding a one-shot lead late in the final round of the Victorian Open. Willis is 8 under par through 12 holes. American Patrick Burke is the immediate challenger on -7. South Australian amateur Gary Simpson at one stage grabbed a share of the lead. Simpson provided one of the shots of the day out of the bunker at the third. He's since had his problems, however, back to 4 under. In Japan, Australians Roger Mackay and Craig Parry have dropped out of contention with 1 round to play at the Taiheiyo Masters. The pair both carded third round 75s. Mackay's 5 under par and Parry -4. The amazing Jumbo Ozaki leads the field by 3 shots on 13 under. And in the World Cup in Puerto Rico, the American team of Fred Couples and Davis Love look to be cruising to victory. The pair is a whopping 34 under par after the third round. That's 9 shots clear of second place to Zimbabwe. Australia's Steve Elkington and Mike Clayton are 14th, a distant 25 shots off the pace. In tennis, world number 1 Pete Sampras has broken a 4-month drought to reach his first final since Wimbledon. He's beaten Jared Palmer in straight sets in the semis of the European Community Championships in Belgium. Sampras will play Magnus Larsson in the final after the Swede's easy win against France's Olivier Delattre. Meanwhile, Anki Huber has reached the final of the Virginia Slims tournament in Philadelphia. The German beat Gabriela Sabatini in 3 sets and will now play the winner of Natalia Zvereva and Mary Pierce. China has beaten Australia in the final of the Four Nations basketball tournament in Bahia. The Opals went down by 9 points after trailing by 10 at half-time. China's Baby Huey hit a game-high 27 points. Rachel Spawn top-scored for Australia with 18. In Perth, Western Australia has beaten Queensland in the final of the Women's National Hockey League. The Diamonds scored 2 goals in the last 4 minutes to break a 1-1 deadlock.
Western Australia had the better of the opening term, but only the post robbed Queensland of first blood.
Off the post!
The Scorchers were keeping tight wraps on semi-final hero Shelley Andrews, but it wasn't enough to stop this 3 minutes from the half.
It's on the wrong side. Great shot! Great goal! My word! Shelley Andrews.
Luck favoured Queensland in the third term. Debbie Bowman-Sullivan deflecting for the equaliser.
Oh, deflected in from Debbie Sullivan.
With 10 minutes to go, the scraps of a penalty corner look set to give the Scorchers the title.
And finally it is put away. Tammy Cole? No.
With the goal disallowed, the pendulum swung Western Australia's way. Player of the series Rochelle Hawkes converted for 2-1.
Rochelle Hawkes.
Before Jackie Pereira delivered the knockout blow with 90 seconds left.
Nice goal, Jackie Pereira. That settles the issue.
And finally, the Australian Rugby League side is back in action early tomorrow morning. The Kangaroos tackled Bradford Northern. A full replay of the game shown tomorrow night on Nine's Wild World of Sports. Check your local guides. And Ken, while the drama's been unfolding in Adelaide, that's what's been happening around the world.
Well, I tell you what, under pressure you've worked beautifully, Bear.
Thanks, Ken. It's been a real struggle.
We will be back in Adelaide right after this break.
A whole new week on Sale of the Century.
Lisa, this would be wonderful.
And the champ needs to be focused.
Oh, I can't. The scenery's too nice.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
As she tries to add to her prizes, Australia's top TV quiz, 7 o'clock Monday on Channel 9.
It's party time, all the time, in the sunshine, indie time.
Live it up with Andretti, Unsa, Fittipaldi, Villeneuve and everything that the Gold Coast offers off the track at the 1995 Indy Carnival.
Indie time, yeah, it's indie time. There's only one
Indy Carnival 95. Don't miss a second of it. For bookings, call the Queensland Government Travel Centre on 1800 808 405.
At America's oldest registered distillery, Jack Daniels in Tennessee, nobody hurries much.
Hello there, Herb. Oh, Jack.
Not Jack Bateman with this truckload of whiskey on its way to the barrel house.
Oh, yeah.
Or Lilburn Rutledge and Billy Durham, who don't mind waiting for him to arrive. No, at Jack Daniels, no one's in much of a hurry, because slowly is the only way to make Jack Daniels Tennessee whiskey.
Ah, great. So you got one of them flybys cards then, Dick?
Yep.
So how's it go? You spend $20 with Shell and you start getting points towards free flights?
Well, as long as they got one of these signs out front.
Yeah, I heard you get points on everything. Petrol, oil, bread, milk, snacks.
Anything else, sir?
Magazines.
Barry?
It all adds up, Dick.
I can see that.
Flybys. At any outlet where you see the Flybys sign.
Heard there was a big landslide back up the highway. Could be stuck for hours, I reckon.
Yep. Look bad.
But, you got through okay.
Lucky, I guess.
So what are you driving, Superman?
Me? I drive Kuma.
Drive quality. Drive Kumo tyres.
ready for the laugh of your life with funniest home videos.
Big semi-final.
Australia's choice favourites. And the smash hit hidden camera comedy.
I can't believe this.
Catching everyone off guard. Just Kidding, Tuesday from 7:30 on 9.
This weekend, we're celebrating 10 years of Adelaide with a super edition of our Memorable Moments giveaway. Now, this is your last chance to enter for that $45,000 fully imported Holden Calibra. Just take a look at our list of moments and we'll tell you how you could be behind the wheel of this brilliant road machine.
1986, and the final round left just Nigel Mansell and Alain Prost with a chance to win the title.
And it's going a superb start from Nigel Mansell.
Points leader Mansell got off to a great start. Mansell's mission was merely to finish intact in order to take out the prize. And then this.
And look at that! Colossally, that's Mansell. That is Nigel Mansell, and the car absolutely shattered. He's fighting for control, and you can see what's happened. Mansell is out of the race. Now, this could change and will change the World Championship.
That left Prost to celebrate victory and the bonus of an unexpected world title. In 1991, those rocket sled supercars proved that potent things come in small packages.
And up the next straight. Oh, straight in. Barbara Hepworth, straight to the fence there. Phew, I hope she's all right.
Oh, bad luck. Oh, there's two in there. There's fire in cart 6 as well. IG. Oh, and his suit's on fire there too. I hope they've noticed that. Petrol obviously gone all over the place. Well, that was a bad shot.
If you missed that impact, take a look again at Barbara Hepworth's helmet headbutting the wall.
Oh, that was very, very, very hard when she hit.
Shaken and understandably stirred, a brave Barbara walked away. 1989 saw the heavens dump the first of the big wets on the Adelaide circuit. There were worried looks down pit row. But start they did.
And Martini's made a flyer. Martini comes up alongside Ayrton Senna, but Senna's got the inside line.
The outrageous conditions brought out the brilliance of the late, great Ayrton Senna. Behind him, there was mayhem in the pack. It wasn't long before even the champ came unstuck.
Senna spinning. Spin, spin, spin. Round, round, round he goes now.
He was certainly in good company.
Senna is only got 3 wheels.
How did it happen? Our camera caught the point of impact for one of the great images of the Aussie Grand Prix.
Down on it like Jaws, and then suddenly the two made contact.
And believe it or not, there was a winner.
Boutsen crosses the line to win the Australian Grand Prix.
The 1993 celebrity race was an all-female affair, with one or maybe 2 exceptions. Competition among the top qualifiers was white hot, but the dice that had the fans on the edge of their seats was the battle for the lead between Olympic skier Kirsty Marshall and Aussie netball skipper Michelle Filkey.
Oh, she's gone the other way. She's trying to do it. Michelle's blocked her. What about this? A bit of crisscross stuff here. Oh, Kirsty's going to do it, I think. Here they come, Michelle.
Side by side. This is terrific.
Gets up on the ribbon. Well done, Michelle Filkey. What about that?
You took part of the fun when we give you a chance to win a fabulous fully imported Holden Calibra, valued at $45,000. All you have to do is select your favourite moment from that list and give us a call. The numbers to ring are 0055 60251 for Mansell's disaster, 252 for the supercar crash, 253 the big wet, and 254 for the celebrity race. All callers are automatically in the draw to win the Calibra. The 2-litre machines come with driver airbag, anti-lock braking, air conditioning, electric sunroof, and a super responsive 16-valve power plant. And it could all be yours this weekend on Wide World of Sports.
And a little later on, we will be announcing our winner, so stay with us. We'll be back with more in a moment.
Monday.
It's tasteless, it's tacky, it's needlessly violent.
It's AA by request.
I can't keep a straight face.
Number 2.
Nice to meet you, Dick. Nice to meet yours as well.
An hour of side-splitting stupidity.
I am an island.
I am an isthmus.
That's really worth repeating.
Just throw them up.
Produced by the most important people.
You, the viewer.
Get out of it, you little mongrel.
By popular demand.
What I do each night is great.
Your favourite moments.
This is live television.
AA by request 2, Monday 7:30 on 9.
You know, when you go to work with Valvoline, so do millions of other Australians. Like top racing drivers, fleet drivers, farmers, even miners. They all rely on the protection of Valvoline, which is why I changed my oil, but not my brand. Valvoline. You know what I mean.
Southern comfort, the heart, the soul, the spirit.
Relations between neighbours can be delicate. Stratco fencing can ease the tension.
G'day, fellas.
Stratco's Good Neighbour modular fence eliminates all unsightly posts and rails. Stratco fencing for peace in our time.
Nothing else is quite the same. It's more than just another game. This is the real thing. This is Test. This is cricket at its best. There's courage, skill and pride on show. Be there to feel the tension grow. Who'll win the day? Who'll take the test? This is cricket at its best.
This is cricket at its best. Got the heat turned on and the windows down. She's hell on wheels, telling everyone how good it feels. My TV she was knocking on my door. She wants to roll the rug up and get down on the floor. She said, let's ride.
The all-new Hyundai XL from $13,990.
What sort of bank has invented the cleverest home and investment loan?
Adelaide Bank. You start off at this low rate, and then it can save you money. Year after year after year after year after year after year.
By the way, at Adelaide Bank, we've called this genius loan Albert. Because it can save you money year
after year
after year after year. Albert.
After year after
Starts
year.
at this low rate and can save you money year
after year.
Take it to the limit. Live it to the full. Everybody's gotta get some. Everybody wants you.
Right now we're crossing to Jackie Stewart, who is with the stars of today's Australian Formula One Grand Prix. Michael, first of all, congratulations, Michael Schumacher, world champion. Have you got the feeling yet?
Not really, not really. I mean, it starts coming slowly now. I mean, talking about it and being with mates together, one of them particularly who had the same feeling probably as me.
Yeah. When I won it the first
it starts
time,
coming up now.
It took a whole night for it to come to my attention, and the next morning it suddenly arrived in a big rush.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you had 3 of them, and so...
Now, the race itself, Michael, obviously sad that it ended in an accident involving both of you. Give me your view of that accident.
I mean, there's not a lot to say about it. The point was that I went into turn 3 and I really struggled out there with a lot of oversteer problems. And by going into turn 3, over the bump, I just lost the car for a moment, catched it back, and then had to go wide, and the white line went over the grass, and I just touched the barrier as well. And then the steering wasn't working anymore proper. And when I then went into turn 4, the car just pulled over, and then I looked, and suddenly Damon was there as well. We drove over each other. I drove over his front wheel, and I was up in the air, and I was thinking for a moment I'd make a turn over, and then I found myself in the tyre barrier, which wasn't a nice experience. I didn't know what's going on after this. I didn't know whether there is something going on with Damon. I saw him for a moment, not really accelerating as quick as usual, so I wasn't sure, and then I had to stay there, and I was waiting and looking for Nigel, passing the first time, second time, third time, without seeing Damon. Then my first hopes came up that it still is going to happen. And then I heard over the speaker that it's the case, and that was a tremendous feeling.
Now, when, of course, you did almost go upside down, I mean, it was very close to that. After you came into contact with Damon, the steering, you think, was just too sharp in its response when you turned in?
It did react on the right side, normal, but then on the left side when I turned over to the left. But on the right, it suddenly didn't somehow, and then I couldn't do much of it. Damon suddenly was there, tried to pass me, I assume, and I was stuck in a situation where I couldn't do anything. And then we just run over each other.
Well, congratulations anyway, new world champion.
Thank you.
Nigel Mansell, young Nigel Mansell today. You must be a happy man to come back after only 3 races, really 3 in a run, to win this Grand Prix.
Yeah, it was very exciting, Jackie. I mean, on the first lap on the start, I thought I got a good start, and then saw Michael coming on the right, and I saw Damon coming on the left. So I backed off going into the first corner and got a little bit on the dirt, because obviously I wanted the 2 championship contenders to, have a good fight. And then coming out of turn 2, I think it was, I got a little bit wide again, and then locked up going into 3. And I don't know whether you caught it on camera, but I had all 4 wheels off the track in the air along the wall and was wondering what was going on. But yeah, had an exciting time, and it's just fantastic that I managed to win for the team after the problems of Damon and Michael.
And, of course, securing the Constructors' World
Absolutely, and I mean, a titanic battle. I mean, with Jean at Suzuka and now Gerhard here, and I mean, Gerhard and I was talking, and he was pushing hard all the way, and I was pushing as hard as I know how all the way. It was very, very tough.
How do you feel at the end of the race? Because there was a lot of speculation earlier on that you would get tired, obviously, not having had a full season in Formula One.
Oh yeah, I feel very tired. But when you feel tired and you've won, that's okay. No,
so there is room in the field for the more mature drivers?
Oh, I think so. I think there's no problem. I think even you could come back, Jackie. How's that?
I think you've gone too far now. Gerhard Berger, a sweet and sour year. You did win the Grand Prix in Hockenheim, the German Grand Prix. Obviously, you lost a great friend in Ayrton Senna, and you almost won this Grand Prix too, the end of the season.
First, yeah, I want to say a few words to Ayrton. I mean, we all know that we are very sorry, not just about Ayrton, also about Roland. That unbelievable what's happened this year, and we really miss both. And especially myself, I miss Ayrton as friend. But it's racing, and it's very hard, and I mean, the result out of it is that the drivers are stronger together than I think ever before, fighting very hard for safety, and we really achieved a lot in safety already this year, and I think it's going to help a lot the drivers in the future. The race today, yes, I'm happy. I'm second place. I wasn't expecting second place after qualifying 11th position after first lap 11th. But I was fighting very hard with myself and with Nigel. And so I'm very happy with the result. Not just about this race, even of the season, because we had our goal in the beginning of the season. Ferrari wasn't in a brilliant situation after last year. And I think we are coming. We are slowly progressing. And I really hope that next year we can win more than 1 races, and we can be a bit more consistent, and soon we can have also eye on a championship.
Martin Brundle, a very good result. You've had a difficult season with reliability. This must be satisfying to be on the podium again this year after Monte Carlo.
Yes, it is. I mean, we've been threatening the podium 5 or 6 times at least, and I thought it was never going to happen again. We've had some cruel luck, but many people say you make your own luck, but we do seem to have had a fair share of bad luck this year. But it was a good day, it was a good race. The eyes were on Formula One, and I think hopefully Formula One gave them some excitement.
Finally, Nigel, for you, I think everybody's in anticipation of what you're going to do for 1995. We are at the end of the 94 season.
Well, I think we'll just have to be a little bit more patient, Jackie. We might go fishing, we might go motor racing, and really it's in the hands of the powers that be, and I think you'll find that it'll all be sorted out in the next couple of weeks.
Which means you'll go motor racing. Well, that's probably the way we read his lips. The race is over, but there's still plenty more to come from Adelaide. We'll be right back after this.
Monday night at the movies.
I have some bad news.
A family with a tormented past.
What's hideous about your family?
A secret too painful to remember.
What are you all hiding?
A journey to discover the unspeakable truth.
What kinds of things are you telling Savannah, Doctor?
Anything that might help her get better.
Barbara Streisand.
You don't like psychiatrists much, do you?
Nick Nolte.
I have something to tell you.
Together they found a way to turn the tragedy of their lives into a love story.
Now I know why you always seem so sad.
The Prince of Tides, 8:30 Monday on 9.
At last, somebody who knows about engine protection has introduced a total range of car care products. New Pyroil performance products. Each Pyroil product is specifically formulated to protect and enhance the vital running systems and the looks of your car. But above all, I use Pyroil for one very good reason. It comes from the people who know. Pyroil from Valvoline.
When it's hot and you want to keep your goodies cold, get this Decor cooler bag from KFC. It's extra strong with triple A insulation and worth around 20 bucks. But at KFC now, it's just $5.95 with any KFC purchase of $10 or more. So pick up some of your favourite KFC and pick up your Decor cooler bag for just $5.95.
KFC's $5.95 Decor deal.
I like it like that. Get down to KFC now.
Nothing else is quite the same. It's more than just another game. This is the real thing. This is test. This is cricket at its best. There's courage, skill and pride on show. Be there to feel the tension grow. Who'll win the day? Who'll take the test? This is cricket at its best.
This is cricket at its best.
Pump 7, thanks.
Don't worry, Dick, I'll get this lot.
Barry, I've got a couple of extras I'd like to get, thanks.
Don't worry, I'll get them and all, don't worry.
Barry?
I insist it, really.
Are you okay?
Absolutely.
You'll be taking off in no time at this rate, Mr. Sheen.
Taking off? Oh, Barry, you're unbelievable.
Flybys at any Shell outlet where you see the Flybys sign.
Jackie Stewart joins me once again. Jackie, you've been down there and you've spoken to the four main protagonists in today's race, except for Damon Hill, of course, who was obviously very disappointed. And is there any word from Damon at this stage?
Other than what Barry had to say with him and he had to say to Barry, I don't think so. I didn't hear anything over there. I was with the guys who had just stepped out of their cars, really, and they hadn't had an opportunity to speak to anyone. I think for me, the big issue is the Schumacher-Hill incident. And I think there will be speculation as to whether Michael should have moved over as quickly and as aggressively on Damon on his attempt to get through. On this replay, we can see the incident occurring where on the left-hand side he hit the curb, went into oversteer. That's where he kissed the wall very hard. And at that time, he was moving himself back over. You can see he's working the steering wheel a wee bit hard. Now, he had already committed to the corner when, in fact, he came into contact with Damon Hill. There are some people who would say that he moved over to collide with Damon Hill to ensure that he took Hill out of the championship. I wouldn't go as far as to say that. I don't think that was correct. I think it was a spontaneous movement, potentially to try and block him from passing. I don't think intentionally trying to take him out of the motor race, because I think that would have been too much to ask for the mine management system to operate that quickly, even for Michael Schumacher. But I think, on the other hand, if I were to look at it from the other side of Damon Hill's view, I might say that if Damon had waited a few more milliseconds before barging in, he could have avoided that, because it was always in the books that Michael would try to get round that corner in the traditional line. He wouldn't have tried to get round the corner on the marbles, as we call it, the outside of the corner. He would have tried to go the groove. And if Damon had waited just a wee bit, because the speed had been taken off Schumacher's car, I think he would have got a better chance of doing it. But nevertheless, having said that, it's a great, great pity.
Yes, it wasn't the way we wanted the race to end. Jackie, winning a world championship, of course, Schumacher's confidence will just soar. That'll add so much more to his driver ability. Damon Hill, on the other hand, how does he regroup? And has he got the mind, and you know him so well, you've known him since he was a small child, has he got that ability behind him?
Yes, surely, surely. He has a very similar determination to his father, and one of the most determined men I have ever met. I think Damon Hill put this as past, his experience. After all, he's only had a few full seasons in top-line Formula One motor racing, and I think that the boy will return stronger than before and more experienced and more able to do it. Schumacher, on the other hand, is already high on that adrenaline you mentioned. Down there, he